More than a year after Hamas's deadly assault on Israel and an even deadlier war on Gaza, both warring sides are inching closer to reaching a ceasefire, with mediators making the final push to seal the deal that would also see the release of hostages. The US, Egypt and Qatar have been involved in finalizing a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas since last year and securing the release of hostages captured during Hamas's October 7 attack on Israel. Negotiators met in Qatar hoping to hammer out the final details. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas was right on the brink.
Over the past several weeks, our intensive efforts have brought us to the brink of full and final agreement. On Sunday, the United States, Qatar and Egypt put forward a final proposal. The ball is now in Hamas's court. If Hamas accepts, the deal is ready to be concluded and implemented. I believe we will get a ceasefire. And whether we get there in the remaining days of our administration or after January 20th, I believe the deal will follow closely the terms of the agreement that President Biden put forward last May and our administration rallied the world behind.
Hamas has accepted a draft agreement for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the release of dozens of hostages. The three-phase plan is based on a framework Biden laid out in June 2024. The first phase would last for 6 weeks and include a full and complete ceasefire withdrawal of Israeli forces from all populated areas of Gaza and the release of 33 Israeli hostages taken by Hamas, including women, the elderly and the wounded, in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Details of the second phase would have to be negotiated during phase 1. According to the draft agreement, in this phase, Hamas will release the remaining living captives, mainly male soldiers, in exchange for more prisoners and the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. Finally, in phase 3, a major reconstruction plan for Gaza would commence and any final remains of hostages who have been killed would be returned to their families. Hamas has said it will not free the remaining hostages without an end to the war and a complete Israeli withdrawal. In the past too, ceasefire deals have been enforced temporarily to allow limited humanitarian aid in Gaza. However, long-term plans have fallen apart over Hamas demanding Israel's military withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. Israel has refused to comply with the demand. Far-right Israeli Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir threatened to quit the government if the deal was accepted, describing it as capitulating to Hamas. He similarly opposed the Biden proposal in 2024, along with Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. While Israel and Hamas have been handed over the final drafts of the Gaza truce deal, protesters have been taking to the streets in opposition to the agreement. Moderate Israelis and families of hostages have welcomed the developments and have come out in support of the deal. But on the other hand, the extremists on the far right are protesting. The developments come ahead of US President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th. Trump has repeatedly warned that there would be hell to pay if all the hostages were not returned before his inauguration day.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is.
But there are still many cracks to be filled to work out the finalities of the deal. Who will run Gaza after the war is one of the great unknowns of the negotiations. Israel has said that Hamas can play no role whatsoever, and it has rejected the involvement of the Palestinian Authority, the body set up under the Oslo Interim Peace Accords 3 decades ago that exercises limited sovereignty in the occupied West Bank. But the international community has said that Gaza must be run by Palestinians. The current round of talks has not even addressed the issue due to its complexity and the likelihood that it would hold up a limited deal.